Hello everyone and welcome to the 5th episode of my Express JavaScript tutorial series. Now in this video we are going to be talking mainly about endpoints, and basically endpoints are just kind of final destinations that we can have our web server do various things to when you get there. So for example, one endpoint of Google, and I'm not fully sure if I'm using the term correctly, but I'm going to use it in this way. One endpoint for Google is just the slash endpoint. So if you go to google.com/, you hit enter and you get this website here. But of course, if you go slash and then, I don't know if they have a mail endpoint, but google.com/mail, see, they'll redirect you somewhere else. And basically by adding an endpoint, mail/mail is the endpoint, that gets you to a different place. And as you can see in the previous episode, we talked a little bit about that or actually in the first episode or the second one, we talked a little bit about that in that you can specify different endpoints that your server will do different things when a user gets there. But we're going to go a little bit deeper into that topic. To start off, actually, we're going to go ahead and just review static files for now. So in the previous episode, what we did is we went over serving static files, and I'll kind of just show you what that is for now. Backend 5 or Express 5, and then you type npm install if you do not have your packages installed, but you most likely do. I'm just using a new folder every episode, so I need to keep installing it at the beginning of each one. And then node space index.js, or whoops, I misspelled it. Like that. There we go. So it says example app listening, HTTP localhost 3000, so 3000. And whoops, I probably should have just typed localhost :3000, not HTTPS. There we go. So by running that, we get our little title, atomic habits, author James Clear. And this is the root directory. So again, the slash just means root directory. And if we added a slash, it would change nothing. It would look the same. And all that's doing is it's sending a JSON, or sending JSON data for this fake book that we have, or not a fake book, but this fake data that we just have here in a variable. And it's sending that to the user. Now, essentially what this is called an API endpoint, or usually it would be. And again, an API is just, in our purpose, is just a server that sends data to a user or to a program. So for example, when a user comes here to localhost 3000, you're the user, you will get the data from this API. And you can actually write some code in order to fetch this data from another program and use it, which is why like some programs will display weather data, for example. Well, their code will contact a weather API, get the weather data for the location, and then they'll use that data. So this is what an API is doing behind the back. It's just grabbing data and returning it to either the user or the program. So that is our root endpoint, our slash endpoint here. And then of course we still have the slash hello endpoint, which will serve our HTML file, which we have kind of created right here. It's just a little HTML file with a hello world in it. And by writing these two lines of code, we have a website with two different paths to go to. Now, of course, I keep getting a little bit off track, but for the static folder here, we can also go /static/cover.jpg, and it will open up our test and code, which is this little image right here that we have. So that's pretty cool. We can basically serve files with this. And that was pretty much all we did in the previous episode, is just add this little line here, this app.useExpress.static, and then I passed it static. All this means is anything inside this static folder here will be exposed. We can just say /static, and then we can type the name of the file and get it. So that's what a static resources basically means, is you can put files there and our web server can return them. But on top of static, we also have endpoints for us to use, and this is a basic introduction to that. So let me go ahead and cross that off. And up until now, you'll notice that to do these two endpoints, I have app.get/hello. So this is the way I created the endpoint. And if you remember, for APIs, there are 4 or 5 different kind of methods. I'm only going to go over the two most common. There's get requests, and then there are post requests. So if you remember, a GET request is the most common, it's the one we've been using, and that basically gets data. In fact, whenever you go to any website on your browser, you are sending a GET request to that website. Nothing else. You can't send a POST request, or at least I don't think you can, from the browser bar, because the browser is only meant to get data. Now, posting data basically can be used to, at least at a primitive level, if you're not using the other ones, it can be used to update data or create data or delete data. That is a little bit overgeneralizing, but for our purposes, if we're only using get and post, post is used for anything that's not get. Now, to actually use this, we are going to have to open up our REST kind of file here. And we did create this, I think, in the first or second episode, which is basically, it allows us to send requests. So we have a get here, localhost 3000. And what this is doing is it's the exact same thing as if we were to just do localhost 3000 in our browser. And you'll see if I hit send request like that, you'll notice here in the response, we get the data right here. We get the little JSON object with the title and the author, similarly to what we see over here. But funny enough, we can actually change this to post, which like this. We can actually change this to post. Now, if I hit send request and we look at this, notice it'll say error, cannot post, express not found, HTTP 404 not found. And the reason for that is in our website code, we do not have any kind of lines of code to handle a post request. So how would we do that? Similarly to how we've been handling GET requests, we just go app.post, and then we can do a slash. Although, actually, no, we shouldn't use the same route twice. So app/post/API. So we'll just say /API /post. So again, this is the format. So in order to actually access this, we'll do /API/post, which for now doesn't have anything, cannot get. And notice there's the get there again. And then we're going to put a function with recres. It's the same kind of signature of the code itself. And then the only difference now is this method is supposed to handle updating data of some sort. So, for now, I'll just say console.log updating data, which isn't actually updating anything. But you know what? Actually, we can say updating data, and then we can actually just change data, which is this object right here. We can change its title. Title is equal to new atomic habits. So watch this. So this post request is actually updating our data for us. And then we say res.send. We can just say OK. Or, we can actually resend the new data. So json.stringify data, just like that. So basically what this is doing is it's updating our data and then returning it. So a post is like a get, except it's also doing something else. So we will have that. And then in order to actually implement this, I think I just save like that. I reload our little web server here. So I'll do a clear really quick, and then I'll do a node index.js like that. It'll say app listening. So again, if I reload, it'll say cannot get/API/post. And the reason for that is because a browser can only make GET requests. Now, if we actually come here to our post or to our REST client, we can do /API/post and watch what happens. And actually, to quickly start, I'm going to remove this in our browser, and notice we have atomic habits, James Clear. Now, once I run this request here, I send request, it says, okay, everything's okay. I reload, and now notice the title has changed to new atomic habits. So that is, this is a bit of a contrived example, because normally when you do a post request, you'll also actually send it the data. You don't like write a code or a line of code to just automatically update it to this value. I would have it so that it uses this variable here called rec, which would grab the data that the user is sending, and then I could update it with that. But this is somewhat of an example. Basically, we have some data that might be stored in a database, but for now it's just stored in an object. We can get it by going to the /endpoint like this, and then we can update it by going /API/post. And that, kind of request will actually make a change on the server. Now I hope you can start to see like how GET requests, post requests at the very core, if you have some website, maybe it's a database for weather data, which I keep using, but for example, the weather collection, the actual weather collection devices will make a post request to this API so that we could add the weather data. So it'll give the API the weather data and it'll store it, and then a user can actually make a GET request to get the data, and then the server can return it. So essentially, these little lines here, app.post, app.get, and then the roots, are what opens the gateway to interact with this web server and to send data from it or to it and to get data from it. And you can do that in any sorts of ways. Now, of course, as you get more advanced, there's something called authentication, obviously, because you don't want anyone to be able to access. Maybe you only want certain users to access this, like they need to be logged in or something along those lines. But this is the very basics of Express servers. And I've been going, I think, fairly slowly just so that you can get a solid understanding of these basics of how web servers work and how they function. Because, of course, this is an introductory tutorial series. Now, this is pretty much, I believe, all I had to talk about. I'm going to kind of skip this API route thing here, although I kind of added it. But yeah, this is pretty much all I had to cover in this episode. If you want to see more videos like this, I recommend you check out the playlist, which is linked in the description, where I'm uploading daily. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications whenever I post new videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.